50 rounds of golf in 50 states in 50 days. Boxing is a great physical workout, but another goal of the Academy is to strengthen the minds of its students. Lacrosse can best be described as hockey on grass, which is the goal of organizers. Good evening from Mulcahy Stadium. Hope you're having a great 4th of July. It's game 2 of this holiday doubleheader between the two tenants of this ballpark, the Anchorage Bucks and the Anchorage Glacier Pilots. We're in the top of the second, and it's 2-0 Pilots. The fireworks show will get underway at the end of this ball game somewhere around midnight. However, the big 4th of July tradition took place earlier today, about 2.5 hours south of here. Dave Goldman recaps Mount Marathon that featured the return of a familiar face. And just a reminder, if you did not catch any of today's race on KTVA, simply go to KTVA.com. That's where we got race recaps, photos, and features about the runners. Well, back to baseball now. The Anchorage Bucks and the Anchorage Glacier Pilots in the first of 2 here at Mulcahy Stadium. The Bucks got a lot of help from the Pilots in their half of the first. Cal Goebel draws the bases-loaded walk. In comes Landon Silver with the first run. Then the next pitch by Cody Kerfman gets past catcher Sam Cohen. David Hensley scores easily from third. We go to the bottom of the first now for the Pilots. Koba Best will send it deep to left. He will be out on the play, but the ball is deep enough to bring in Malcolm Tibler. 2-1 Bucks after 1. They hold on for the 4-3 win. In other ABL action tonight, Mat-Su got the sweep as the Miners stay in first place in the league. The Miners took game 2 just a short time ago, 9-3 over Chugiak, after they came back in game 1 for the 6-3 win. Meanwhile, back here at Mulcahy Stadium, it is now the top of the second. 2-0 Glacier Pilots make that 3-0 as another run just crossed the plate. The annual fireworks show will take place at the end of this ball game sometime around midnight. That's the scene here from Mulcahy. Let's send it back to the studio. Brandon Evans showed off a new look when he hit the mat for a wrestling match at Anchorage Christian School. He wore the new uniform of Kuskokwim Learning Academy. Evans received it just a day earlier.
Off your knees, Red.
Meanwhile, Rhett Jackson faced his opponent in a newly bought uniform. He and many teammates had no choice. Their old uniforms are gone. Flames destroyed the academy November 3rd. It had been housed in the Kilbuck building along with a K-6 UPIC immersion school. The fire destroyed everything, including the wrestling uniforms. But the building is not the only thing scarred.
And I don't know what I was going to do if we don't have school in KLA.
We had no uniforms, we had no shoes, headgear, medical kits. We didn't have anything.
ACS and other schools offered wrestling gear to the Mustangs so they could compete. Just one problem.
We couldn't keep that stuff. We were going to need stuff for this weekend, so we decided let's go shop, see if we can find stuff in town.
An Anchorage sporting goods store offered the items at a major discount.
It's just awesome how people are helping us.
Brandon Evans won his match, something he and others at his school needed after a devastating loss. There's a new game in town. It's physical, but the kids enjoy it. That includes young Sean Casey.
So far it's been fun, easy, pretty hard sometimes.
Sean's among the first group of kids to play lacrosse at the Ben Boeke Ice Rink. Lacrosse can best be described as hockey on grass, which is the goal of organizers.
Bring my arm up, roll in my wrist.
The Anchorage Hockey Association organized the month-long program to get some variety in what can be a one-dimensional sports focus for too many youngsters.
And the problem with, you get a lot of sports, people play year-round. And that's not what's needed for these kids. These kids should, for us, put their hockey sticks down and pick up a lacrosse stick, because hockey and lacrosse have so many similarities, and it's just good for these kids to unplug from hockey and try something new.
Remember, right?
may be new, but lacrosse is similar to that other sport typically played in this arena.
You're going like this, but you're going like this to shoot.
It's fast and competitive, and Sean Casey offers one piece of advice.
If you play too much, you're gonna get bowled off sweating.
But what do you expect from the sport considered the fastest game on 2 feet? In Anchorage, Dave Laval, KTVA 11 Sports. Nino Delgado is good with his hands. The 19-year-old took up boxing 6 years ago.
When I was in middle school, I was getting into a lot of trouble, so my parents were looking for something to put me into to keep me busy.
Boxing filled the void and kept Delgado out of trouble. Delgado can thank the Alaska Boxing Academy. David Carey served as an alternate on the 2008 U.S. Olympic boxing team. He created the academy in 2011. It's not just about fighting. Carey also wants to teach his students a healthy lifestyle.
Before I got into boxing, I was just eating the way I wanted to eat, hanging out, doing certain things that I really didn't have any business doing.
The academy is located inside the Martial Art Alaska studio. This is where it is called home for the last 3 months.
Sometimes there's too many rivalries, We're not such a big state where we need to have there. Everybody needs to work together to make sure that we can build that community.
The studio is also the third location for the academy since its creation, but it will soon have a place to call its own at the Gallo Center. Now, boxing is a great physical workout, but another goal of the academy is to strengthen the minds of its students. Tutors from UAA will come in and work with the younger students on their studies before they train.
By getting that education, by getting that diploma or that college degree, is going to help you when you get out here in the real world. When the sweat dries and there's no more athletics to do, you have your education to fall back on.
Probably not as good as I'm doing right now.
That finds Nino Delgado preparing for his next battle in the ring, and not in a courtroom where he fears he might have ended up without boxing.
I'm trying to walk everything.
Soren Jacobson wants to remember his first round of golf in Alaska. Not even a light rain and cool temperature will wash out this late Wednesday night round. It can't. There's too much at stake. Jacobson is a first-time visitor, and this is Chamber of Commerce weather.
First of all, I don't like being hot, and this makes sure that never happens.
Jacobson is on a mission. 50 rounds of golf in 50 states in 50 days to celebrate his 50th birthday. Jacobson landed at Ted Stevens International Airport just after 9 p.m. He immediately showed up at the Anchorage golf course and teed off in the state where you're more likely to see an eagle in the air than on the scoreboard. He came up with the idea in college, but for decades, this links fantasy seemed more bogey than birdie until 2 years ago. Stop number 49, appropriately, Alaska. An Idaho native, Jacobson's drive for 50 began in the Pacific Northwest.
We started in Oregon, then we sort of went down the West Coast, across the bottom of the country, up the eastern seaboard, and then back across the top.
The rounds piled up, and Jacobson began to face a challenge which affects the pros too: fatigue.
You might be able to tell looking at me right now, we're a little weary. We teed it up at 6:30 this morning in Seattle, and then traveled all day to get here.
As it usually does, the last frontier stood out. Jacobson, who works for the Idaho State Legislature, and his wife Melanie, who organized the journey, drove 48 of the 50 states for 15,000 miles, only flying to Alaska and Hawaii. The price tag for this golf dream? Roughly $35,000.
We don't have that sitting around to do this with.
But Jorgensen said friends covered much of the costs with donations. Even a few courses, including Anchorage, comped him the round.
Let's try this guy one more time.
Water posed no problem, but another hazard waited for him at the fourth green.
I don't want to bother the moose. I could hit a ball down there and we can just drive by and leave the ball and I can see where it goes. But I don't want to, the moose lives here, I'm visiting. I avoided the moose.
Is this normal moose behavior?
And why the Jacobsons chose the fastest way to the next tee as they scratched off one more state on a most extraordinary golf odyssey. The Anchorage Glacier Pilots are back into their swing. It's a welcome sight after a 4-day layoff for Glacier Blue.
It's been hard just trying to rest and also have fun and enjoy it, but yeah, not being at home, it's been a little bit of a struggle.
You know, last couple of days, the kids have been cooped up and they just want to get out here and play.
The Peninsula Oilers are also ready to take their home field after nearly a week.
Feels good, honestly. We've been cooped up inside, coming to the field, getting it ready, just to be disappointed not to play.
Mother Nature had other plans as rain washed out the first 2 games of the 6 in Kenai. The series wraps up the regular season for Peninsula. The delay meant the Oilers and the Glacier Pilots would have to make up the lost games, but not with your run-of-the-mill doubleheader, or even play 2 doubleheaders at Coral Seymour Park. The Oilers and the Glacier Pilots will play 3 straight doubleheaders. In other words, 6 games in 3 days.
We felt like we were in like Cooperstown or old USSSA Little League tournament where you got to go through the losers bracket and play like 4 games in one day.
No, I guess I played 3 doubleheaders in a row, but it was the first time for everything.
The Oilers head coach is not the only one who feels that way.
It's just going to be something we have to get used to.
As the Oilers and the Glacier Pilots go back-to-back on the Kenai Peninsula, to back-to-back to play ball.